Hi, my name is Joseph Segura, and I am a certified flight instructor. It was a long day for my CFI Checkride, but I passed. Got my CFI. This last Monday, I actually passed my CFI exam. It was the hardest Checkride I've ever been through, but we got it done, and I'm here to tell the story. So I was originally gonna fly the night before to do my Checkride because it wasn't at my home-based airport. The reason why is just because I want to take away the stress of what if there's weather along the route and I can't do the Checkride that morning. Well, there was weather along that route the day before, some line of thunderstorms, and it just prevented me from going out and saved myself, I guess, $100 of getting a hotel and flying out at 6 in the morning for my first solo cross country since I was a student. I haven't done it in a while. I woke up at 5 in the morning, ate breakfast, did what I needed to do, pack, head to the airport, did my pre-flight, and took off around maybe 6:15. So early to the point that the tower was closed, which I haven't experienced before. So that was pretty cool, making my own call outs at the airport, seeing it turn into a Class Echo airspace. So we took off, went to my destination, very smooth flight, shut down there and relaxed. Once the examiner arrived, we did the IACRA, told some stories, and gave him the docs that I needed in order to do the exam. It was a smooth process, proving the aircraft is first airworthy to do the exam, and obviously handing over the documents showing that we have, here's my ID, my medical, my pilot certificate, things of that nature, and obviously going to the IACRA, which I did not forget the password, which is a big thing. I know a lot of people have problems with when they go to do their Checkride, but did that very smoothly. Then we got to the oral portion. That went from 8:15 to 12:30. It was about 4 hours, maybe closer to 5, if anything. This is debatably one of the hardest exams in aviation, and I knew it. I've heard people tell me expect an 8-hour oral. I've heard people tell me expect to take this the whole day. When my Checkride, when the oral portion ended in 5 hours, I was like, that was exactly what we needed to do because we hit everything. We could have maybe gone longer if we wanted to go even more in depth, but we hit everything. First, we start off make sure the aircraft is airworthy. I talk about air certificate and how to prove an aircraft is airworthy, going through the inspections, if it's an MEL and the kinds of equivalent, atymatal flames, things of that nature. Just talking about that, and then we went to airspace, runway incursions, principles of flight, endorsements. I had to explain a basic pressurization system, and then oxygen requirements. Since I'm actually flying Par 135, I had to make sure I say the right numbers because 135 has different requirements than 91. So we're flying Par 91, so that's something that I have to make sure I said clearly. Then we did FOIs. That was a quick one, just did a couple FOIs, the ones that are necessary, proving that I know what I'm talking about. Then we had maneuvers, did 3 maneuvers. I brought this whiteboard during the Checkride because I wasn't sure if we'd have had anything to draw on. I did. I was offered papers, but I like using a whiteboard. It's something that I believe most instructors should be able to use and how they explain maneuvers or anything. I was able to draw pretty much, for example, a power of 180, draw the runway. You have the numbers right here, and then we're gonna shut off right here, blah, talk about it. I would just have something to draw on, which I always thought was really useful because it's a visual way of learning the maneuver. So we had maneuvers, we talked about weather, we talked about weight and balance, hit pretty much everything. Imagine, look at my lesson plans. These are all made by me. This was a lot of work. I spent almost a year preparing for this Checkride. So I was all prepared. I needed to make sure that there was nothing that I could be asked that I would get stumped on. Of course, no Checkride is perfect, but I proved that I was safe. I knew what I was talking about, and I can be able to demonstrate instruction, which I proved because now I'm a certified flight instructor. After that, the oral portion went to the flight portion. Flight portion was about an hour and a half. It was just a lot of the maneuvers that we did were just like slow flight, stalls, some of the landings, lazy H, chandelles, things of that nature. It was what I was expecting. It was gonna be commercial Checkrides, but also ask me to explain the maneuver as I was doing it, but I hit them all in ACS standards, and I was very proud of how I did. For example, steep turns. Steep turns is obviously something a lot of people struggle with in the beginning when learning how to fly an airplane. And obviously I've done a lot of steep turns in my life, so I was expecting I should know what I'm doing. And I'm always still happy to be in ACS standards because I know I practiced it, but I want to prove it in the Checkride. And I did. I had a smile throughout the check ride and even at the end of the training because I knew I was slowly getting there. And I was like, it's finally happening. I hit that zone where I'm like, I'm on ACS standard, but I'm at my standard as well. So that's what I was super proud of. After the flight portion, we did the debrief, which was 210, 225 roughly. We talked about a check ride and I asked them some questions of like, hey, what do you want to see out of me? Because this check ride is hard. And yes, I learned my certificate, but that wasn't enough for me. I want to pursue more. I want to be better as a pilot. So it's maybe something, this guy has quadruple amount of hours, way more hours than me, and has seen a lot of probably CFI students that either have done really well or really bad. So I wanted to ask him, hey, so from maybe some of the best ones you've seen, what are some of the qualities or maybe some of the best instructors that you met? And I've asked some questions about that and just basically gave me some tips. Maybe what is something that you didn't like out of me today? And I'd write that down and exactly how to expect. Maybe, for example, if I end up doing my CFII, I can expect that to a way of improving. So after that, refueled, charged the iPad 2:30 to 3. I had enough fuel to get back home, but I'd rather just refuel there. It's like I have 4 hours of fuel. I don't have to think about fuel along the route of flights. I have more than enough fuel to get back home. It's not like I have to worry about passengers and flying heavy. So I knew I was good there. And along with that, charged my iPad because after the check ride, I had 2%, which I don't need it to fly, but it's nice to have as an aid for navigation and also being aware of traffic along the route. So that was good. So I charged the iPad and obviously gave me time to just relax and call my parents and my mom, my dad, my friends, everybody, just letting them know that, hey, I got my CFI, I passed. So it was cool getting all those calls and obviously telling my instructor, he was the first one to know that, hey, I passed. So it was pretty cool. After that, I head back home. I did the pre-flight of the airplane, started up, headed back home, did a run up again, took off, did my route of flight. There was some storms along the route, which I was expecting because after pretty much 1 or 3 p.m. in Florida, there's some thunderstorms along the route. So it was expected, but nothing that was too dangerous. So I just made sure to avoid it, did what I needed to do, get back to the airport, landed safely, and shut down, talk to my instructor, let him know, celebrate a bit, take some photos with the school, celebrate with all those guys, and then head back home. 5:30, celebrate with friends. My girlfriend made me a sushi cake, so that was pretty cool to see. This was a long road. Before I got my CFI, I got my multi-engine, then I got my seaplane rating, because seaplane rating is something that I've always wanted to get, and I got it. And I was super proud of it, and ended up getting me a job for it, which I was unexpected, but I'm super happy I did because that was my original dream, to become a seaplane pilot, and I'm very happy with it. I still got a lot to learn. Being a CFI doesn't mean I know everything, and I don't claim to ever know everything. But up next for my career is getting my CFII and just maybe teaching some students. I'm so excited to be able to provide my knowledge and also show my love for aviation to other aviation students and people who want to learn. So the more I know, the more I can explain. So that's why I want to have my own lesson plans. And that's something that I don't want to just earn a certificate and feel like I was like, wow, I don't know how to teach stuff. I wanted to be really good at this. I'll provide those lesson plans, just need to put it all on a doc. So if you ever want to use my lesson plans, you're more than welcome to, because I believe it's done a really good job, like create it in a way of a flow. It's not just like explaining something to a student. It's actually going from simple to complex. For example, principles of flight, I go from like talking about the 4 forces of flight and then going all the way to the end, talking about the stabilities and going into the more complex stuff, but it has a nice flow to it. So explaining basically how does an airplane fly. I thought that was probably my best lesson. At first I was pretty weak with it, and eventually became pretty much my best lesson. So I love being a beginner to suddenly being really good at it. And it's just, I love that progress that I make because I can actually see it in the way that I talk about it. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you're gonna learn how to fly, maybe I'm your guy now.